Fried Chicken needs to know that it is not okay for employees to be like calling trans women sir, to like intentionally with me after I did something he doesn't like. I heard the mother call me sir. The world will know at least this. If you do this, if you go and you accost trans people in public, we can just make a bad scene and someone else will.
That was a typical Democrat 2023. A man who dresses as a woman went to Popeyes. Fried chicken. Delicious. Love that chicken from Popeyes. And one of the employees referred to him as sir. Seeing through his ruse, right? And so the Democrat took his phone, went down to the beach, and you see the eyebrows? There's something terribly wrong with those eyebrows there. Made a big mistake with those, I think. So dude looked like a lady, goes to Popeyes. Employee refers to him as sir, and he becomes furious, makes an angry, expletive-laden video, posts it on the Twitter. Do we call it X now? Because you can't, there are too many things called X, aren't there? But posted on Twitter. Are we supposed to stop calling it Twitter as of today? Because our culture has lost its mind and the wheels have come off and completely nuts, I've got to say. But there it is. A transgender. I prefer to not say trans, right? Because trans is a prefix that applies to a lot of different words and circumstances. And when you say trans, that doesn't explicitly mean a transgender person, meaning a Democrat who's in the midst of a crisis, an identity crisis. And so this guy, very angry and cursing up a storm and all this stuff because an employee at Popeyes, referred to him as sir, and that's it. No, call me ma'am. Call you an ambulance. All right, how about that? Call you a clinic. Let's get you some help because you're obviously unwell. But the Democrat Party has made this perfectly normal. Years ago, Michael Piercy will remember, many years ago, well over a decade ago, I started talking on the radio about how the Democrat Party's goal is to make everything abnormal appear normal and make everything normal appear abnormal. I've been talking about that for more than a decade. And the Democrat Party has been hard at work, like the little beavers that they are, trying to make everything normal into something abnormal, like the nuclear family and heterosexuality and childbirth and gender and education and things. And they've really pulled the sock inside out, haven't they, the Democrat Party? And it's all the Democrats, all of it. Just amazing. And now Hillary Clinton, just because, the whole abnormal thing. Hillary Clinton retweeting this radical left-wing Center for American Progress John Podesta tweet with headlines about the hot weather in Phoenix, Arizona in the summertime. And the Center for American Progress blames MAGA Republicans. They've focus group tested this MAGA Republican thing. Joe Biden is blaming MAGA Republicans for everything. And now Hillary Clinton, the Center for American Progress, blaming MAGA Republicans for hot weather in the summertime in the Northern Hemisphere because they're very severely mentally impaired. And it's an epidemic, really, this mental impairment among Democrats. It's extraordinary. So the John Podesta-founded left-wing radical, they have Tom Daschle over there, former senator. They pay everybody millions of dollars. They call it a nonprofit, and they all build mansions and buy big boats with their nonprofits, and they pretend they're saving the world by blaming MAGA Republicans for hot weather in the summertime in the Northern Hemisphere. Right? That's their thing. They're very unwell. And they're screaming that the climate crisis is here. That's why President Biden passed historic clean energy investments. Well, wait a minute. The bill passed, and the weather hasn't gotten better. So I guess you guys lied to us again. But the radical left-wing extremists at the Center for American Progress, that's why President Biden passed historic clean energy investments. Investments in the liberal to English translation dictionary. Investments means spending a lot of your money. That's what that means. That will grow the economy and help fight climate change. It's going to help fight climate change. Every MAGA Republican in Congress voted no. Well, first of all, not all Republicans in Congress are MAGA Republicans, so I don't know which group of people you're talking about, but that's because the Democrats packed it with billions and billions and billions of our dollars that they were redistributing to their friends and allies so they can pretend to run nonprofits while buying oceanfront mansions, unconcerned about the rise of the oceans, and buy boats, unconcerned about climate change. But it's an amazing thing. And then Hillary Clinton attacked Republicans. Hot enough for you? Thank a MAGA Republican, bitterly. Or better yet, vote them out of office. Hey, Hillary, I noticed you're out of office because you lost, because you're so horrible. You're so awful. Everyone hates you, starting with your husband. And just amazing stuff. And Webb Hubbell's daughter, Chelsea Clinton, the no big fan of yours either.
Sometimes I wish we weren't married, then I could say what I really think.
Hot enough for you? Thank a MAGA Republican. That's right. The Republicans are responsible for the climate because the Democrats wanted to pass a bill that passed, but without Republican support. Therefore, I guess, I don't know if the bill had passed by more votes, then the weather would be better now. The Democrats are actually at least suggesting, insinuating, implying that they can change the climate on the planet. This is what they say.
Women and children are the primary victims of conflict and of climate change, and there is no place that unfortunately, tragically shows us that more dramatically than Ukraine today.
Right. The war that didn't exist when Donald Trump was president, and then Joe Biden came in, and Putin saw weakness in the United States and the West and attacked Ukraine. And then Joe Biden, fueling the military-industrial complex with tens and tens of billions of dollars, going to Ukraine, a country that funneled millions of dollars into the Biden family's bank accounts, at least 10 million. Really, 14 million is probably scratching the surface. 5 million from Burisma to Joe Biden, 5 million from Burisma to Hunter Biden, plus, those were lump sums, plus about $4 million, as I understand it, to Hunter Biden. That may have been split up between Hunter Biden and his friend Devin Archer, another about $4 million from Ukraine. And then Ukraine gets tens of billions from the United States for war in Europe as soon as Joe Biden becomes president, because the weak sister in the White House just invites conflict around the world. Strength in the United States of America disinvites conflict, war, mayhem. And by the way, hey, Hillary Clinton, maybe you Democrats should stop murdering people in all our cities. You should stop turning our cities into murder zones worse than Baghdad. Literally true, literally worse than Baghdad. And the Democrats are shooting everybody with their illegal guns that they don't own legally. Kind of like Hunter Biden's gun, which he didn't own legally either because he lied on the federal form when applying to get the gun. About his drug use, he lied, and all of that is okay, right? Now, Hunter Biden is supposed to be in court today. In fact, he's supposed to be in court right now in Delaware, where he's supposed to plead. You know, he's going to plead, oh, please don't punish me. Don't you know who my dad is? Which I think he's got a T-shirt that says, don't be mean to me. Don't you know who my dad is? And he's a crook, and he threatens Chinese business people that his father is going to punish them. And then millions of dollars come in from China to the Biden family. And the New York Times and CNN think this is fine. They think that's okay. Now, the New York Times has the story today. Republicans in Congress seek to block Hunter Biden's plea deal. And that's because the this is such a sweetheart deal, and there is more and more evidence that has been piling up in Washington, D.C., that members of Congress have been collecting, and the news media has been burying. But the Republicans in Congress have gone to the judge, who is a Trump appointee, and said, hey, lady, this is a sweetheart deal that nobody else would get, and you shouldn't accept this plea deal where Hunter Biden gets a slap on the wrist, barely a slap on the wrist. He should be treated like anybody else because we need, equal justice under law, as it says over the entrance to the Supreme Court. But no. And then after the Republicans went to the judge and said, you shouldn't honor this sweetheart deal that the Biden family arranged for under cover of darkness. You should hit him with the full force of law. And the judge is not likely to do that. But then something else happened, and it's a pretty crazy story. Hunter Biden set to plead guilty to tax charges, and then the gun charge, where it's already been arranged ahead of time. The fix is in. I'm slipping the tip of my right index finger along the right side of my nose, a la The Sting. Hunter Biden set to plead guilty to tax charges and then, pay off the man with money that he didn't earn, as lawyer tries to pull dirty trick ahead of court appearance. And Samuel Chamberlain at the New York Post reports the story. The Washington Post doesn't have the story because it's not a newspaper. It's a gang of Democrat Party fluffers from the DNC steno pool. First son, Hunter Biden's legal team, appeared to pull a dirty trick on Tuesday, that's yesterday, to block the release of damning evidence ahead of his expected guilty plea to federal charges of tax evasion and weapons crimes. The drama began in the morning when the House Ways and Means Committee filed an amicus brief to Delaware U.S. District Judge Mary Ellen Norica, I guess it's Norica, arguing that the 53-year-old Hunter Biden had benefited from, quote, political interference, which calls into question the propriety of the investigation, end quote, into alleged crimes including money laundering, felony tax evasion, and failure to register as a foreign agent, violation of the FARA Act. Republicans are charged with this, and they have the full force of law brought to bear against them. And the felony tax evasion reduced to misdemeanor tax evasion. So no big deal, just pay the man, write the check, somebody else's money, you didn't earn it anyway. The filing included testimony by 2 IRS whistleblowers who sat for transcribed interviews on May 26th and on June 1st. What happened next was outlined in a letter that sent to the judge on Tuesday afternoon by the committee's top lawyer, Theodore Katilla. And at approximately 1:30 p.m., we received word that our filing was removed from the docket, the lawyer from the congressional committee, Katilla, said. We promptly contacted the clerk's office, and we were advised that someone contacted the court representing that they worked with my office, and he put my in italics there, and that they asked the court to remove this from the docket. We immediately advised that this was inaccurate. The clerk's office responded that we would need to refile, and we have done so now. Now, here's the thing. It turns out, looks like one of Hunter Biden's lawyers called the judge's office, got the clerk, and that the Hunter Biden lawyer, Democrat, misrepresented themselves to the judge's office, the clerk's office, and they and chicanery ensued. All right, they're trying to corrupt it even more. And now that this has been uncovered, and the lawyers came back and said, "Oh no, this is just a misunderstanding." So they're not denying that they contacted and misrepresented. Well, they're denying that they misrepresented. But the clerk's office says, oh no, they misrepresented who they were and why they were calling. And I've got more for you on that because, the criminal chicanery of the Biden family is everywhere, every day. And when the committee on Capitol Hill found out about it, well, I've got the rest of the story coming right up. Hey, breaking news. President Biden's plan to introduce a digital dollar is already underway, and it's vital to understand the potential consequences. Contrary to their claims, of course, this initiative is not in your best interest or mine. Time is of the essence, though, so taking action now is absolutely necessary to protect yourself and your financial future, just your retirement and everything, You can help protect your savings from the risks of the digital dollar by diversifying now with gold and silver IRAs. Call the experts to get smart on the subject at American Alternative Assets. Call them today at 888-4GOLD20. That's 888-446-5360. And get all the guidance you need to learn how to safeguard your retirement savings. Say no to Biden's digital dollar. Call 888-4GOLD20. That's 888-446-5360. Individual results may vary. There is no guarantee that past performance will be indicative of future results. Seek your own legal, tax, investment, and financial advice before opening an account. Yeah, so more trickery yesterday from Hunter Biden's legal team, tampering with the process again, and doubtless getting away with it again. Hey, it's Chris Plant, excited to tell you about our July 2024 Listener Sea Cruise. We'll be sailing around the British Isles, visiting Scotland and Ireland. Please join us. Book by this July 31st for extra savings. Visit ChrisPlantCruise.com. So what this looks like, it looks like Hunter Biden's legal team had someone call the judge's office in Delaware. And the woman calling the judge's office lied, according to the other side, the lawyers on the other side. Now, it's kind of an amazing story, and the judge has locked things up. Now, Hunter Biden, even as we speak, is in the courthouse in Delaware, where he's supposed to get his sweetheart plea deal and walk out laughing at our justice system and at everyone that believes in a justice system. But it turns out there was a letter that outlined what happened. Judge Norica on Tuesday, after the committee's top lawyer, Theodore Katila, contacted the judge's office, and the judge's office said, "Oh, someone from your office called earlier and asked us to pull the documents." And the lawyer Katila said, no, that wasn't my office at all. So perhaps someone called you and misrepresented themselves and lied to you. And it turns out they've already kind of gotten to the bottom of it. It turns out the woman who called the judge's office was Jessica Bangles. And turns out that Jessica Bangles works for the firm Latham Watkins that is tied to Hunter Biden's defense team. But all of this is going to be okay because of a corrupt news media. All right, most young people are no longer proud to be Americans. New poll finds, the Gallup poll. You know why, Michael? The Democrats. The Democrats is the reason. That's why. Because the Democrat Party hates America and almost everybody in it. I couldn't be a Democrat today because just all the hate. You got to hate so many different people and so many different things. You got to be crazy and blame Republicans for hot weather in Phoenix, Arizona in the summertime. And you got to believe it because Hillary Clinton says that it's true. There's a lot of crazy out there. And the Democrats, stop carjacking people. Would you please, hey, maybe the Democrat Joe Biden come out and tell Democrats and their kids to stop carjacking people. That'd be good. Stop shooting people, Democrats. Stop looting stores, Democrats. They've made looting normal. You know, they make the abnormal normal and the normal abnormal. They've made looting and theft normal in the United States of America. Let's go to another phone call, and then I'd like to get to the mailbag. I think I should get to the mailbag. now because I have a history of waiting too long to get to the mailbag. So let's go to the telephones. Let's go to George calling from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Jorge, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, good morning.
Hey, George.
I was calling because even though I was born in Illinois, like you, I lived most of my life in Southern California, and I was astonished to hear that Andy Enfield had another player have a heart problem and collapse, because the same thing happened almost exactly a year ago. Vince Uwuchukwu was the recruit last year, and he collapsed during practice and had to be revived by the training staff on the court. So the fact that he's got hit with this 2 years in a row is almost unbelievable.
It is. Are you suggesting he may be responsible in some way?
No, not at all.
Not at all. No, it is quite
Not
bizarre. And then the super athlete, 18-year-old son of world-renowned super athlete LeBron James, collapsed from a cardiac arrest. And what do you think is up with that, George? What's going on?
I don't know, other than I don't know whether these kids got the shot back in 2020 or what the deal is, but I know there's been a lot of heart-related things as a result of that.
Yeah, and blood clots and myocardia and young people. And here's one thing that we need to make note of, George. Nobody appears to be looking into this. Right? 60 Minutes is busy not looking into it. The New York Times, the Washington Post are not looking into it. As far as I know, the NIH somewhere, the National Institutes of Health or the CDC may have a couple of people in a room somewhere looking at the numbers, but I'm not aware of anyone looking at this, because if they said in public out loud that they're looking into this, I think they're afraid they'd cause panic, right? And God knows they need to manipulate and control the public message on all issues. And you're right, USC, again, University of Southern California, which is where LeBron James' son collapsed with cardiac arrest day before yesterday, rushed to the ICU. Thankfully, he lived. He's out of intensive care, but he's still not out of the woods. And there are medical professionals who are saying, well, he'll never play basketball in college. He was headed to USC to play basketball and was a top recruit out of high school. And it's an amazing thing. Now, fortunately for him, his father is a billionaire. His father is worth more than $1 billion. So he doesn't have to worry about making a living as he goes forward. But it's a truly extraordinary episode. And you're right, Vince Uwuchukwu, whatever his name is, he suffered a cardiac arrest, and he was playing basketball.
He was playing by halfway through. By I guess January, he was playing, although limited minutes until the end. But he was back on the team and participating. And played pretty well, actually, during the time he was allotted. So
yeah, well, it's an amazing story. A five-star prospect was he, and brilliant future, and then much too young to be having a heart attack or any heart issues at all. Just extraordinary.
Roger that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So
Anyway.
I was hoping, and yesterday I was talking about this. I'm hoping that perhaps LeBron James will step up, because if he stepped up and held a press conference and said, we need to look into the effects of the vaccine, because my son was not in line. It's not like he is an 18-year-old fat kid sitting in his mom's basement looking at the internet, eating Cheetos, and smoking dope.
Yeah.
This guy is a super athlete in perfect condition, and then he's down on the ground in cardiac arrest. And that's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
And at what point are we going to start discussing this out in public in the United States of America? Because, I've been talking about it here. We've been watching soccer players and soccer referees, and, you look in Europe, you look in Latin America, you look around the United States of America, there are, people having heart attacks that have never had heart attacks before. And 18-year-old super athletes don't have, they're saying it's not a heart attack, it's And they're saying, oh, it's different than a myocardial infarction. It's a cardiac arrest. Like, okay, is he supposed to be having this at the age of 18 when he's a world-class athlete? And the answer is obviously no. And then the next obvious question is, well, are we looking into this? Is this a pattern that has emerged? Is it associated with the mass vaccination of the population? And let me tell you something, George, nobody's looking into it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
In fact,
I want to let you know that as a recent transplant here to the east side of the country, I keep thinking every time I listen to your show, for many years, from the late '80s until a few years ago, I was always listening to Rush during this time frame, 9 to noon in L.A. On KFI initially.
Right.
So it's sad, obviously, when he passed. But you're very good in the time slot, let me tell you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We do what we can. We just show up to tell the truth and hopefully get a laugh or two along the way.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you, George. And welcome East. Now, you said that, like you said, like you, I was born in Illinois. Technically, I was born in New York, and in Bronxville, New York. And then we moved for a little while to Milwaukee, then moved back to New York, and several years in New York, and then moved to the North Shore of Chicago, where I spent 14 years there pretending to grow up. And then I moved to Santa Barbara, of course, and,
Yes.
Yeah, southern.
Well, I mean, because I've got my best friend. I'm ex-Air Force. I was properly circumcised back in the 70s, B-52 navigator and all that. But when we were just learning when Castle Air Force Base, we were going from just initially getting our wings to actually learning to fly the B-52. My co-pilot was from north side of Chicago and went to New Trier. I think you went to New Trier? Yeah.
I did, yes, for a period of time, yes.
Yeah, so my best friend from my active duty Air Force days was also a New Trier grad, and so he's an airplane driver, but he's also real big at the Chicago Yacht Club. He and some guys have done the Chicago to Mackinac race. I think Craig has done it 25 times or something like that.
Wow, that is great. The MAC, yeah, it's called the MAC, and the sailing race. Just outstanding. Mackinac Island, Michigan, beautiful. My best girl and I went on vacation there last year, as a matter of fact. And I did catch you, George, saying Roger that. So I picked up, I suspected that there might be a military and possibly Air Force tie there. So you're B-52 guy, navigator. B-52, 488,000 pounds empty, a wingspan of 185 feet. Crew of 5.
That's the beast.
Unrefueled, range of 5,000 miles with refueling, unlimited. Just a few fun B-52 facts off the top of my head.
Well, all this talk about people being in skiffs and everything. Back in the day, anytime I walked into the bomb nav shop, it could be a skiff, but it was a place where you handled classified information very, very carefully, and you didn't take it out of there for sure. So
you didn't email it to Hillary on her private server?
Well, speaking of Hillary, I was back in the day when she was breaking up phones and stuff like that. I was saying, if I did the stuff that Hillary did, I would still be living in Kansas.
Yeah, you would.
Leavenworth.
Yes, in a place called Fort Leavenworth. That is a fact. But the Democrats, the fix is in. The fix is in. George, God bless you, my friend. I'm saluting you. You retire at 05, Lieutenant Colonel.
I did make Lieutenant Colonel. Yeah, I ended up my career as the senior intelligence officer at the reserve wing at March Field.
Very nice. Very nice.
Out by Riverside. Yeah.
Yeah, March, man. Okay, George, thank you, my friend. Great to meet you. Great to hear your voice. I'm saluting you.
You too. Yeah.
Thanks, buddy. And welcome to the show. Let me go to the mailbag. Let's go to the mailbag. Now, Kevin Tober pulled together our director-in-chief of Social Media Matters, who got a couple of mentions in Newsweek yesterday. That's coming up. So Kevin Tober points out these questions were submitted through the mailbag form on the Chris Plant newsletter. The Chris Plant newsletter. We put out a newsletter every day. You should get it. It's full of the articles we talk about on the show and so on. And so Kevin said, go to the Chris Plant newsletter. You can go to the WMAL. You can search for Chris Plant and find the newsletter. And there's a form there for the mailbag. And that's good. Now, getting to the questions. Diane from Glen Allen, Virginia. Not Glen Ellen, but Glen Allen, Virginia. Why'd you stop doing your opinion opening and closing on the Right Squad? That's the Newsmax television show at 9 p.m. By the way, you seem more comfortable each week. That's great. I gotta tell you, Diane, the show is still a work in progress, and there are a lot of moving parts, and the producers are all in New York. That write the show, and the senior producers and so on. And there have been a lot of changes since we started, it's true. There's a lot of input from high on in the company. Let's do it this way. Let's do it that way. So the changes keep happening. And I think we decided that we want to get the panel into the discussion more quickly. I'm still trying to find a way to get more of me into the show because I'm so polite. I want the four panelists to get plenty of time and feel like it's worth their time and everything. But we did cut out the opinion opening, the monologue, and the closing to have more of the squad, the Right Squad, right? And by the way, you seem more comfortable each week. I think that's true. And I think I'm still negotiating and navigating like George. He was a navigator on a B-52. I'm still negotiating and navigating my way through the television, the labyrinth-like television, sometimes bureaucracy, and trying to get it's in my opinion still over-scripted in many instances, and we need more of me, and I'm half kidding, but the less set up and more actual talk on the topics. So we're still working on that, and I think the show is still evolving, Diane. And am I getting more comfortable? Yeah, I am. There's too much teleprompter early on. We're trying to scale that back. I'm more of a free-form person, I'm better when I move. All right? But thank you for the question and for the observation. And I'm going to take that to Newsmax. I'm going to take that to Newsmax. Alfonso from Greenbelt says, he asks, if John F. Kennedy was never killed in November of 1963, do you think he would have been reelected? If so, do you think his second term would have been as disastrous as LBJ's? Well, funny thing, because of your question, Alfonso, I looked up John F. Kennedy's poll numbers, and I found his poll numbers from November 8th of 1963, so really days before he was shot and killed. And also the month before that and the month before that. And they were quite consistent. In November of 1963, the month that he was murdered, he had a 58% approval rating and a 30% disapproval rating. And that was consistent in the preceding months as well. And based on those poll numbers, even though it was not 1964, it was 63, I think he would have been reelected. And I think it would have been less disastrous with John F. Kennedy. He was a man of many charms and wasn't a political brute. I'll say brute instead of thug like LBJ was. But John F. Kennedy, World War II veteran, Navy veteran, sent advisors to South Vietnam to work with the South Vietnamese, the Vietnamese army, to fight against the insurgent communists. But he didn't have us in there up to our eyeballs in the war. It took LBJ to do that. And I also think that that John F. Kennedy would have been better for the civil rights movement, a better president for the civil rights movement than LBJ, who is famous for using racial slurs, among other things. And so, yeah, I think, yes, it's likely he would have been reelected. He was very popular. He was charming. He looked good. He was kind of the first real TV president. And his poll numbers were great, almost double the approval rating over the disapproval rating. So he likely would have been reelected. And yeah, I think that LBJ was worse than John John F. Kennedy would have been in a second term. I have more mailbag questions coming up as well. You know, CBD is everywhere. CBDs, they're putting CBD in everything. Well, my friends at Generic CBD have infused CBDs into their number one best-selling, deep-penetrating muscle and joint cream. And let me tell you, this stuff is quite amazing. It melts right into your knees, elbows, shoulders, your back, especially those stiff hands, fingers, knuckles, joints. It goes to work in a matter of seconds, too. And it's a fantastic moisturizer. I know, my best girl told me. The company's called GenericCBD.com. You've heard me talk about them before. They sell premium CBD products for less cash, so you save money. And right now, you can try their muscle and joint cream for free. For free. You just pay $2.95 with the pay for the shipping and handling. But don't worry, it's not a subscription. There are no strings attached. They just want you to try it because they know you're going to love it. You're going to buy it. You're going to give it as gifts. You're going to use it yourself. So get your free sample at GenericCBD.com. That's GENERICCBD.com. GenericCBD.com. These products and statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness. Yeah. We always get great questions for the mailbag, don't we? And I have several more coming up, as well as more about the son of LeBron James and his cardiac arrest, and more Hunter Biden, and criminal activity out of the Democrats. The actor Kevin Spacey, he's a good actor, found not guilty in sexual assault trial in London, England, another country altogether. A jury found Oscar-winning actor Kevin Spacey not guilty Wednesday in his criminal sexual assault trial against young men in London surrounding allegations that he assaulted four men. Jurors began deliberating Monday after nearly 4 weeks of testimony. The jury returned the verdicts at the Southwark Crown Court after 3 days. Spacey turned 64 today. He's turning 64 today. Hey, happy birthday. You're not going to prison for sexually assaulting men. Of course, he's famous for groping men in the United States, too. It's a pattern. It's Hollywood. He's an award-winning actor.